We're at the Las Vegas Convention Center for SEMA, and today I'm going to be showing you the Baja Cruiser Race Edition. Let's get started. I'm here with Jeff from Westcott Designs. Dude, what did you build here? This thing looks insane. What's going on?
I can say I still probably look tired after all the time that went into building this thing.
SEMA Crunch.
Dude, it was SEMA Crunch.
How long?
It was like SEMA Crunch times 10. It was 90 days as go as hard as you possibly can, and hopefully you get it done in the amount of time that you need to. Like, I mean, it was literally the morning of that they picked it up. As it was going in the transporter, we're still putting parts on it as it went into the transporter.
Dude, that's insane, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely see that you put a lot of work into this. Dude, I really want to know all about it. Let's start from the front and make our way to the back.
We widened this truck a total of 8 inches, so it's 4 inches on each side. It kind of, from this body line over to the fender here is how much wider the truck was built. So we had to build a full bumper on the front of this truck to really accommodate the width on this truck. And then we wanted the bumper to come where the skid plate, it wasn't at such a severe angle that it could still be very functional out there on the trails if it were to come in contact with something or even for clearancing. So what we did is we took the frame horns back about 6 inches in the front. We brought the floor up underneath the radiator up, and we're able to get a nice angle off the skid plate here. And we're able to run the skid plate from here all the way back to the rear axle on this truck with that. And then we did a little bit of our lower valance here, and we tied all this stuff in with all the gold accents in it with all the black. And you can see here, even on the side of this, if we talk about details, and that's what I'm all about, is details. If you look at the radius of the fender flares on this, the factory OEM fender flares, we actually designed that here into the cut on the corners here. So it kind of matched and tied in exactly like that. We made all the tin work that's up underneath here, and that flows all the way through the fenders. We did it all out of aluminum, and we bead rolled everything just so it had a really nice look. And when you looked inside the fenders, it just was really highly quality done and finished really nice. And we tied all these buttons in throughout the fenders and throughout the vehicle as well. So
let me ask you this, Jeff. I know there's a lot of sensors up in the front, and Toyota goes wild with the sensors.
Yeah.
Were you able to fix that? And is the dash like a Christmas light tree right now?
I will tell you the dash is like a partial Christmas tree. We got some of the lights off, which we got done in the back. We got all the bumper sensors in. One of the things I could tell you that we didn't get done is we are designing these buttons to have where the sensors actually pop in from the backside to go back up here in the front and go back in the location so everything works the way it's supposed to. So it still has all the functional sensors. It still has the front cross traffic, and so when someone's up in the front, we did put all the cross traffic sensors up behind here. We actually built special brackets behind here that tie back in, and they're bolted in here. So we have all those sensors back on both corners are done. So we've got the few little sensors that we're gonna do here in the next week after we get back from SEMA to get the rest of the stuff just tidied up. It's just the things we had to say, okay, we can't do this now, we're gonna have to do after SEMA. But as far as anybody knows, they wouldn't know, but we know.
Dude, let's talk long travel. You had to design those lower control arms from scratch and figure out all the suspension components yourself.
So the lower arms are billet aluminum, the spindles are billet aluminum, and the upper arms are billet aluminum. And we machined all that stuff and did all that, all the design, all the CAD, everything for that. Some of the things that were tricky is because these are a Fox 3.0 shock, so it's got a larger spring in it and a larger body. And so with that, we had to, the bottom of the spring perch and the bottom is so large that there's not a lot of room between the shock and the axle. So what we had to do is we had to move the shock location up for the lower spring perch just so we could get the axle to fall just underneath that so it didn't have interference. But all this stuff was all put into CAD. It was all designed in CAD, so we're able to get all the geometry correct to make sure that everything worked the way it needed to have full travel up and down. We've got about, in the front right now, we've got about 18 inches in the front. We've got 22 inches in the rear, and the 22 inches we have in the rear is it's strapped travel. We really had to strap it because the CV joints obviously wouldn't go any farther than that for us. So that was the deciding factor, was the angles got too severe for the CVs in the back, CV joints, and so we strapped it at 22. And when we had the drive shaft out of it, we were able to get actually 24 inches of
Dude,
roof in the rear.
That is insane. Yeah. Dude, so it's obviously super wide. You got the fenders and the bed sides that are huge. Is this fiberglass or
so
what did you make that out of?
That was the other thing. I didn't want to do anything on this truck that wasn't metal, or I wanted it all metal. I just, the fiberglass, I feel like you can never get the lines perfect when you're doing fiberglass. I feel like it's really hard to get a nice crisp line to the body, nice crisp lines up through the front for the headlights and all that stuff. So we did everything out of metal. We actually built the fenders in-house. We actually got an extra set of front fenders from Toyota. We got an extra set of rear quarters from Toyota. And we also wanted to do is we wanted to use actually the factory same gauge and material that Toyota was using on the stuff from the factory. And so that's what we did is we were using all those fenders, we cut them up, and we're able to use those pieces in them to actually extend. And you can see here the way the hood comes out here, and you can see the factory body line that flows through here, then flows into the door and flows onto the back. And we did this additional line here to kind of add some girth or some width in the truck, so you can kind of see, just make it look more like broad shoulders, just big. And then we used all the factory plastic throughout the truck, and that was kind of like to make this truck look like it was maybe OE plus, you know, OEM, just that little step, and even getting the angles on the stuff on the fenders where they flared out on it, just so everything looked like, holy smokes, did it come like that from the factory?
Dude, I mean, this legit looks like it would come from, you know, Toyota, and you're exactly at their booth. This is a huge achievement.
Yeah. So, and I think there's a lot of people that look and maybe even walking around the car that don't even realize the degree that this had to be taken to get it to this. You know, to get all the factory plastic to fit all back in here and all through here, and all the factory door moldings and stuff like that. You know, even the bracket that we made for the ditch lights here, it ties in, and if you look at the back of the light is actually cut on an angle back here, and that helps to clear for the mirror and the back side of it. So,
oh wow,
just, you know, like little detail things that most people wouldn't even recognize. We only had 90 days to do this. You know, and then into the roof rack, we wanted to tie some of the gloss that the truck had originally. The gloss here, the gloss here, the gloss here, the gloss in the door handles.
Oh wow, that's a roof rack.
Yeah. And
dude, I thought, that's what I asked you, like, is that an extension to the roof? But it's an actual
that's a roof rack, and we got it tucked down into the gutter right here, just so it's really nice and tight. And if you were to think about this, if at high speeds and you get the air to flow over the side of this, would help for stability on this truck with it being like that. And then even the arms, with this light bar with all those lights on it is very heavy. And we wanted to make sure it was super stable. And so what we did is we machined all these billet aluminum arms, and then in the center of the rack is an actuator. And that actuator runs off of a motor and has a switch on the dash. So we can project the lights out as far as we want them, or we can project the lights as close as we need them at slower speeds, like going through ravines and stuff like that. But that really allows us to kind of tilt the light without having to do anything with it.
Jeff, let me ask you this. Did you guys build this housing for the lights? That gives it such a retro look.
Yeah, and I wanted to add some protection around the lights, so if you were going through shrubbery or anything like that, you didn't have to worry about the light actually getting hit. And then the other thing is, if you look up here, there's a little pull pin right here, and we have those on both sides. And that is so you can pull the pin, pull the lights off of it, and during the day you don't have to have the lights on it. And if you need to get them up on the truck, you plug it in quick, put the pin in it, and you're off back on the trails in just a really quick time for like a race or something like that.
Hell yeah. Dude, show us the interior. I think this is when people are really gonna realize the attention to detail. There's so many things in there that you just went ham on.
We wanted to kind of keep there again, like OEM kind of look or OE look. Is we did all the leather through the door panels. We did all factory stitching, and then we just did it all in the gold to tie into the outside of the vehicle. All the material that was used on these seats, because this is a first edition that we cut up. We didn't just take a regular one, we took a first edition, and we did all the custom seat in this. And I really wanted to do all the perforation in the seats and the design in the seats to look like it was the factory design. And so we tied all that stuff in there to the seats, and you can see just how it was done with all the perforation, all the lines and everything that they did. We even used the same materials that Toyota used on the seats. The center console, we did that with all the stitching there as well. You know, and see, we even did the Sparko back in the seats in the gold and everything.
Dude,
just
that
really
looks epic.
To tie all that stuff in. And then we made all these floor pans in the truck, just rugged, so like for grip and stuff like that. And we tied some of the grays in that
with
for
the
roll
dimples,
cage.
right?
Yes.
Such a nice touch.
Dimple dies we used to do all that stuff. And then we formed them in the shop, and you can see back here, we used all the factory carpet again, and then we were able to do is we incorporate the floor pans in the back here, and then we've got our third seat in the back here. It's a center seat. We raised it up a little bit, so it gives you a little bit better view out the window. And the other thing is that the guy that's sitting in the back seat here has access to all the valving for the shocks, so he can make adjustment on the fly to adjust the shocks in the back. And these are another 3.0s in the back as well. And then these shocks in the back, the coilovers, we've got them adjusted in the truck the way it sits and stuff like that.
Oh wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah,
so the shock goes in here. That's the shock tower.
And you can see back here in the back, we sealed it off, so we really wanted the car, when it's out on the trails, to still have functional air conditioning and heating and windows, power windows and stuff, but yet have the luxury that it has and still not have to worry about dust and dirt getting in the car while you're out there on the trails. And so that's why we sealed everything off. So literally it's sealed just the way it was from the factory.
Let me ask you this, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I see you have a full cage in there,
Yep.
right? So you're going out there, you're shredding the dunes. What is that third seat for? Like, who would you, because I have a truck that I'm building and I also have a third seat. I want to know your reasoning behind just having a third seat.
You know, maybe that's your secondary driver. Maybe that's your backup driver. Maybe you got the spotter and you got another driver, and maybe it's a team that goes out there and races this thing.
You strap your camera guy back there too.
Yeah, put your camera guy back there, right? Get him back there, get some B-roll, right? Some good stuff. So, you know, I mean, you know, and you never can have enough seats, I'll say, you know. So you get one guy and be like, hey man, I really wanted to go. Oh man, sorry, we don't have room for you, but now we got room for you.
That's awesome. What's this here?
Well,
I know what it is, but I want you to explain to the viewers.
We were gonna cut the glass on this and then do this in the glass, but then we were like, you know what? Let's just make this whole panel out of aluminum, and we bead rolled all this. So we made this, and we wanted it to all tie into all the body lines here and the body lines here, and even the molding here. We actually bead rolled all this, so people don't even realize the detail and the time that it takes just to make that panel. Just for the fuel, this is a fuel fill. It's a quick fuel fill. And it actually, these doors open up, you can see that, and there's like a fill can, you fill the can up, and it comes up to here, and you go into the door, and it has both, and it's gravity fed, and it'll fill the fuel in you know, 30 seconds, versus like where you're standing at the pump, and you're like, yep, there's $16, there's $17. Well, you can really get this thing filled up.
Here's like, boom, here's $300.
Yeah, like just, you fill it up, like back on the trail.
What about the fuel tank? Do you have an actual like
So we built a fuel cell for this. We actually built the fuel cell from start to finish. It's a 24 gallon. I think this truck originally has like a 16 gallon tank.
That's
so we
amazing.
built and I'll show you it in the back. We also put a standard fill in the back of the truck, but that was really so we could go up to the gas pump and fill it just like a normal gas station.
You mentioned this has 22 inches of travel in the back.
Yeah.
Is it 3-linked or 4-linked now?
So it's 4 links in the back. And then the rear trailing, lower trailing arms on this are actually 52 inches long, and they're all built machine. We machined those things. I mean, it was like 6 hours per arm to run those things. So it was crazy, but
that is
you know,
insane.
and you can see how far up they're located up the front of the car here, where the factory ones mount like back in here. Those go up that far, but that's to allow us. And then we have the bump cans that are all set up in here, and we actually set the suspension up so it was fully functional. We bottomed the car out. We set the bump cans up so at full compression, it just clears the tire up to here. But you know, it's got full droop. It's like we're 22 inches. It's nuts. It's crazy. Like the tire is completely out of the wheel well.
Dude, that's
just
insane.
I mean, yeah. So
I would love to see this thing in the air.
If we can get this thing dialed in and working properly, I think this truck would be just amazing out on the trails.
Oh.
So, and then you can see all the tin work that went on up in here and all the buttons and stuff to tie into everything, all the gold and stuff. And a lot of people don't even realize with the tire on there that it has all that metal work that's taking place in the fenders. And here, this will give you a really good idea on how much more this truck was extended. You can see the door here.
Wow.
We wanted it all to look like it was factory. You can even see the pinch weld along the side here, how we did it. And then along here is just so it looked like it was even factory there.
Dude, Jeff, your attention to detail is just out of this world, man.
Yeah, and then so we did that, and then even you can see all the clips. We wanted to use all the factory clips in the truck, so literally it looked like it was a factory done deal. Even in here, you can see how thick. This was all metal work that we did here, but you can just see how much thicker the truck is through here, but all the metal work that went on even here in the door jamb.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
What do you have in the back?
Yeah, so we needed a place to put the spare tire, and we thought there wouldn't be a better spot than here in the back, in the roll cage in this truck. So we put it here, put it on an angle, and then one of our other friends, our buddies, owns a mounting company, and we really wanted to tie his brand in with our brand, and so we made a mount that actually fits into 2 of the bolt holes onto the thing, and then we're able to run the strap through it, and then we've got where you can put gear inside the box and stuff like that stuff you'd use out on the trails. And then our Pro Eagle jack is actually located just underneath the tire, so when you pull the tire out, the jack's right there. So we got everything together, all the tools and everything, so it makes it very easy out on the trail. And like I said, we have the factory gas fillers down underneath the floor here. This truck is still hybrid, and it's still turbocharged and everything, and it actually drives really well.
Really? I was going to ask you that. Yeah. I was like, how you like it? Because there's a lot of people that are hating on the 4-banger. What would you tell them?
I would tell you that I think that they did a really good job. I know I see all the criticism on social about, oh, I can't believe they put a 4-cylinder in that, and you know, that thing's got to be a dog, it's going to blow up, and the motors must be bad, and this. I will tell you, this truck with the 37s on it, I raced, I'm not even joking you, I raced this truck against our supercharged solar octane 4Runner, and with the 37s, it still blew it away. Just like this.
That's
so
awesome
it's crazy
to hear that.
think that. And that's a 6-cylinder with a supercharger, and here's a 4-cylinder turbocharger, and it had more power and it outran it. I mean, it just completely continues to walk away from it.
Dude, that's amazing.
We still wanted to keep all the factory buttons on the hatch. We sealed the whole back door. I'll share that with you. But we wanted to tie in here.
Everything still works normal.
Everything works like normal.
Oh my God, dude,
all the bumper sensors in the back here all work. We wanted to use the factory logo back here.
Dude, that is so
limit back
sick.
here, and then we made the whole door all smooth. And you can see that we wanted to keep all the body line here the same. And you can see we built this body line down here to tie into the bottom down here. And you can see how the fenders right here end. We wanted it to end to follow the ending of this. So literally this truck had little capped corners on it, little plastic inserts. And so what we wanted to do is build this whole fender out of metal and make it one piece. And then we actually did is we extended the fender another 2 inches. And the reason for that is so when you looked at the truck from an angle, it didn't have to make the bumper quite as tall. We were able to get some of the height out of the bumper and make it look a little more streamlined to the truck. And then we cut the back of the bumper up. And really the reason for cutting the bumper up was so you could see the fuel cell in the back and some of the colors that were tied in with the fuel cell.
Dude, that looks so epic, man.
So
what a nice touch.
We used all the factory fuel sending unit in it, and all the fuel gauges
Factory rear axle.
Yeah, yep, all that stuff. And we actually used the factory rear axle. We just built all of our mounts on it. We extended the housing on each side. We built all the mounts up on the top on it. All our strap mounts, actually all the brake lines, we did one-piece brake lines across the back, and they all mount in. They're all stainless steel, super clean stuff.
That is insane. What about this here? Oh, I actually saw it. Is this in case you run out of battery, or what is that?
So the cool thing about this is I can turn the power off right here on the vehicle, just shut it off.
Of the entire vehicle?
Yep, shut all the electricity down. Or I can do is turn it on here, and I've also got where I can jump the car here if I need power outside the car. Or the other thing is I could put a jumper in here, and I could have an air tank that I could run right from here to the air tank.
Oh, I love how wide the rear end is. It's so aggressive.
Yeah.
That bumper and allowing you like to have that visual of the fuel cell is just insane, dude. Are any of the products that are on this vehicle going to be out in the aftermarket world?
You know, I've already had quite a few people at the show ask me about the filler or the mount here, and I think that may be a product that we could come out with. One other thing is I'm going to do the seat tracks, because the seat tracks go in the factory bolt locations, and we did those custom to fit on this truck. And I know that there's other people that said, hey, I would really like to be able to put a race seat or some race seats in my truck and not have to fabricate anything, where they could buy that bracket, they could bolt it in, and it could bolt right into your factory truck. So that would probably be another thing I do. The other thing I think that we'd maybe do is, people have asked me already, and I think I would do them in a textured finish, but the dimple die floor
please do that, please.
I think that'd be great. And what I want to do is make these dies
so
they actually bolt into the seat bolts. So then they literally, you take 2 of the front seat bolts out, you slide it in there, it slides in, you bolt it back in, and then those things are in the floor, and they sit just above the floor. It'll keep the carpet good, and it'll keep the floors looking good too. When I showed you the design on the switches there, we actually tied all that design up into the grille right here in the front. So all that kind of same design goes into here. And then when you look at that, there's actually the cameras right there built into the front. So we still
That's
have
a good one that you could do.
Yeah,
Would you sell this?
I think we could. We're trying to figure out how we can build the sensors so this could just be put in, and then would go back in where the sensor bolts up behind it, and then keep it really nice and clean. So we're gonna do some testing on that here in the next couple of weeks, just to see if it's possible.
Guys, there you have it. That's Jeff from Westcott. I don't know if you guys felt that, but this man right here is extremely passionate about what he does. And when you're passionate about what you do, you never work a day in your life. I feel like it was fun, right?
It was fun. Hey, it was very stressful, but it was fun. You know, and for our team to be able to come together like this and make this all happen in 90 days, I mean, it's teamwork, and it is. It's working together. It's friendship. It's, you know, it's great, like, to be able to do that. And so that's what it's all about, is that time together with everybody to make that happen.
Hell yeah, dude. Teamwork, baby. That about wraps it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.